Yay! So we're back. Episode 9, season 5,
Yes.
Outlander, right?
Right.
And
It's called Monsters and Heroes.
Monsters and Heroes. Yeah.
Interesting choice. Yes.
Yeah. I don't want to start on a negative note, but I do think that there was probably a better title they could have come up with. It was a great line. It was a really great line.
But it's about something else.
Yeah,
it's
that there's a
to the next
fine
episode.
line between a monster and a hero. Yes, of course, and I think that's even in the book too. Though I meant to check and see, but yeah, I don't know that this episode was about monsters and heroes.
It's not about monsters and heroes, is it? It's actually a little bit about Call.
Yeah,
I
totally.
think it's mostly about Call.
Yeah.
How we look at ourselves. And how we see ourselves in our call.
Yeah.
So we had somebody send us a really wonderful message on our Facebook page. Yeah. And so, Jayme, do you have that? I mean, she mentions this.
Yeah, so Marcy Yoder came to us and said that she was talking about how she really loved Jayme being able to see Roger in his element of ministering to people and walking with them through hardship, and then kind of this Ian's own role in the story and his own call basically to keep people honest. Maybe she doesn't say that, but I am. And then kind of meaningful connections between Jayme and Claire, which is another part of the kind of call that we've talked about. So I think it's important for us to say we've done episodes on podcast episodes on Jayme, Claire, Bree, and Roger as far as their calls, their vocation, what they are called to do in the story, looking at the books. And this episode was all about that. All about that.
And it really dinged everything that we had been saying.
Yeah.
And so Roger and Bree do struggle in this particular book about what they're meant to do. They're in this place and they didn't exactly mean to stay.
Yeah.
And so there are lots of different, call stories that we kind of hearken to. We the person born to be such and such, and like the prince born to be king, that's a calling type of thing. And then you've got somebody who discovers who they are, and it's clear that they have a call, kind of like Claire. But for Roger and Bree, it's a little bit different. It's kind of something has been thrust upon them, that they're in a situation where their most important skills have to rise to the top. And so they do in this episode. And I love it. I love that Roger's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and then he just totally does it.
Except he's not a doctor, he's not called to be a doctor, but put a damn tourniquet on Jayme's leg. But I would look at that going, come on, I know how to do that, you know to do that according to the book. Why are you not putting a tourniquet on this man's leg? Anyway, that's just
I don't know. He also did the whole snake bite thing wrong. It made me just like,
I mean, he does, okay. I don't want to be one of those annoying people of, in the books he does, but I mean, come on. I mean, is it? Yeah. Anyway.
And I have to say, at the very beginning, when they're in bed together, with he and Bree in bed together, the moment that Jayme knocks and he goes, where else would we be? I about fell out of my so it was so funny. He's just such a great actor.
And I'm not a nitpicker, I don't think, but there were two horses saddled out front of the house, and then it goes into him and Bree in bed, obviously waking up after a night's sleep. It's like, okay, so have those horses been saddled and tied up in front of your house all night long? Because usually when horses are saddled in front of a house, it's like, oh, someone has arrived. There's something happening.
Someone's getting ready to go.
Someone's about to leave. No, they're just waking up.
Poor horses. They had to wear those saddles all night
Whatever.
long.
Yeah. And while I'm on a rant, we didn't talk about it last week, but Ian makes a comment of, I didn't expect the house to be so big. I constantly, every time they showed that drone shot, it was like, damn, that house is big.
I'm amazed at how many different places there are in the house too. Her surgery is huge.
But I love that floor, that brick
house.
floor in her surgery is amazing.
Oh, it's just beautiful. Everything is, and I'm like, where did they get the brick? Egg. It's just
rich. That's a mansion. But anyway.
It is, and it is for back then for sure, because nothing like that would have existed in the mountains like that, unless it would be. Well, unless it was somebody who was extraordinarily wealthy and could bring all those bricks in or hire people to make the bricks.
Yeah.
What I liked most about the call talk is that
sorry,
it's okay.
Let's talk about what we loved. Yeah.
Call. What I really love most about the call talk is that it was between Bree and her mom.
Yeah.
It was between Bree and Claire.
Which happens in the books. It was that conversation was pretty much taken out straight and right back into the.
Well, oftentimes though they ascribe stuff that happens with Bree to Roger.
Yeah.
And what I was really grateful for is that they did not have Roger having this conversation.
Yeah.
With Claire.
Yeah.
Or with Jayme.
Yeah.
What I loved is that because he's wallowed quite a bit.
Yeah.
And he's wallowed since, last season.
Yeah.
And rightfully so in certain areas, but it was great to see him deal with his call last year as a singer and as the thrush, as the one who sings, and to lose that and to have to go through that kind of grief. But it was also great to see him kind of go, hey, I can't do much here, but I can do this. I can keep you alive tonight, and I can try to drag you back tomorrow. And I'm going to do what I can do, and then let others pick up from me.
Yeah.
And that was just like perfect for Roger.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to call out about that is we all talk about how we see ourselves. So we get a little bit of Jayme and Claire in there too. Claire sees herself here as the doctor, obviously, and she's always known this. But she also sees herself as the wife.
Yeah.
And the woman who loves Jayme and whom he loves. And so it would change her if she behaves as the doctor.
Yeah.
It changes her position as his wife.
Yeah.
Because she would then have to take his leg.
Yeah.
And it would change their relationship forever.
Yeah.
And she recognizes this. But for Jayme too, he can't see himself without that leg.
Yeah.
He's not a laird.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have that leg.
Yeah.
And he's the laird. He's the warrior. He's the he can be all of those things. And with his leg, but without him, he'd rather die.
Yeah.
And so I found that to be a really, I don't know that I had pulled that out of the book, but I think the way they pulled that together for the episode, it was really quite clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think so. I think it might have been Marcy, but was talking as I was watching it, and she noticed as well that there was this kind of hearkening back to the end of season 1, where he's in the Abbey with Claire. And I think what's similar. I mean, maybe it was intentional, maybe it wasn't. I'm not quite sure. But what's similar is that we have Jayme at the most vulnerable he can be, right? Most of the time he's the swashbuckling, layered, whatever, powerful man. King of men, to use Ron Moore's phrase. So here we have him pretty much on a deathbed, and both times, and I guess deathbed in general is going to be this situation of bodily integrity. That's something you are vulnerable to something beyond, or something outside of yourself, or something that has more power over your own will to survive, perhaps. And in both situations, he's kind of like, I'm prepared to die. Or, if I continue in this way, I am going to be less of the man that I see myself as. And so I think it is quite interesting how, well, partially it's a hero in the story, right? Of kind of how we deal with that. But one of the things I love about this series, and I think this episode did really well, but also the end of season 1 did really well, was the focus on the body. focus on the importance of touch, the importance of healing, the importance of sex, which is why a lot of people love the show, but also how people think about and interact with and consider their identities in the case of their bodies. And whether that's good or ill, it's still the way things are. And so I think it's really lovely, actually, that we get that. But then we also get Ian saying, catch yourself on. This is ridiculous. My father is, without a leg, and he's still an amazing man.
Yep. And Fergus is still a value.
And Fergus is still a value too. So the fact that Jayme eventually gets there and needed to be called out by those people in his life about that, I think is really important. But it also kind of highlights what we expect in a story as far as a hero goes, of, in particular, male stereotypes and heroic male stereotypes of this man with amazing pectoral muscles.
Damn, did he look
about to die.
He didn't look wasted away at all.
No, not at all. So, there's that. But
also, I mean, I think there's the question of, I am willing to die for you. I mean, it's I am willing to die because I'm the hero and I'm the warrior. But the question is, are you willing to live for me?
Exactly.
And can you live for me? And what kind of life will that be? Does it have value?
Yeah.
Does it have joy?
Yeah.
Does it have meaning?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a lot of what Jayme always kind of faces with that.
Yeah.
And he looks to Claire for the touch.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens on their wedding night.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, perhaps this will be easier if we're touching each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that connection starts. She touches him in the Abbey to help bring him back from the brink. She also drugs him, but there's some of that going on.
It makes the touch much more potent.
Much more potent. And in this episode, she touches him again, and it tethers him. And that's the thing that Marcy brought out, was that this is a tether for him. He could have gone on. It would have been very easy for him to die, because he's, as the warrior, as the hero, was always prepared for that. But he chose to live. And it's kind of interesting what they really didn't bring out, and what they could have brought out in this, just the teensiest bit, was a little bit of Roger Mack talking about, nope, you're fine. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's predetermined. And then Jayme saying at the end, no, I made a choice. I chose not to die. This is not predetermined. I had an option. And this is what I chose, because of you, Claire, because of you.
Yeah. I also was thinking, so slight spoiler, though I won't go into details, but for the next book, which there's only 3 episodes left, so I don't think they're going to get to that side of it. But when Claire gets really ill, she also, so they echo each other. When Jayme is at death's door and she's at death's door, is a really similar experience, I think. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that.
I was wanting to get to that, because I was just like, Jayme's been close to death a few times, and Claire doesn't really get there until the next book. And we see a very different Claire emerge. She's never been like this, except when she maybe had faith. And but she didn't. She did
almost die then. Because Master Raymond, but there's not the active choice of coming back, which she wanted.
That was it. Yeah, that was all there was. Yeah, and he heals her without her understanding what's going on.
But going back to the call thing, I mean, in Fiery Cross, we've got those, and we talked about these in the podcast, but those kind of I am statements from Claire and from Jayme, both. There's this kind of whole section of 2 pages in the book where it's I am, and then this, and this, and then I am this. And so I think for Claire to tell Bree, going back to that, is you are an engineer. And Claire says it as blatantly as that. Roger hasn't yet gotten there. But when we're talking about, so he acknowledges, again, spoiler probably, but he acknowledges later his call to be a minister. What I think is important is, as a minister, as both of us are trained to be ministers, presence. Being present. to the situation. And that's what Roger does in this episode, is he is present.
He doesn't try to change anything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He doesn't try to change anybody's feelings.
No.
He just lets Jayme, he's like, this is what I'm going to do, but what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's got the presence thing down pat. He's doing all right.
And the prayer, damn, that was such a beautiful prayer. And it was so simple.
There were several prayers in this episode. And quoting of scripture, he and Jayme did this little quote off. It was great. It was great. So I really loved that bit about the episode. I do think, though, they tried to do too much. So Marsley having the baby, I don't know that needed to, I don't know, birth and death, okay, I get that. But narratively, did that serve a purpose?
Well, so it shows that, at least it showed that she's capable, obviously, and we knew this from the beginning. But it shows that Fergus
popping that baby out right in the woods.
It showed that Fergus was capable, and he was going to manage it. I don't know why they did it in this particular episode, except that maybe her time was just due, but they could have fixed that.
Yeah. Well, she just finds out she's pregnant in the book when this happens. So when the snake bite happens, Claire basically is like worrying that Marsley hasn't been doing the tansy oil and stuff because she's pregnant again. She's not 9 months down the line. So,
right.
Anyway. Yeah.
I also they do spend a lot of time with Jayme sick. I would have thought that they would have done the snake bite later in the episode and kind of condensed it. He spends a long time ill with that shirt off.
Yeah, but our main character is ill. We can't just kind of, because I do think, so another sort of nitpicky
it was definitely a choice.
Roger is talking normally. And I get that that's difficult to kind of constantly maintain. Jayme's hand is also
because it can ruin his voice. Normally. It could actually physically ruin his voice if he were to do that over and over again.
Yeah. Well, so the damage was when he tried to yell, but I was like, Anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't enough because he sounds like if he still has that voice, he could probably still sing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bison. Do we want to talk about the Bison?
Talk about the Bison. Yes.
I can see for somebody who hasn't read the books that it was a complete what the flip was that about?
Our Bison, yes. So.
Bison just kind of stroll in, say hello. Yeah. I loved that part in the books. I felt quite disappointed by the part in the show. Bree getting flipped over. I thought that was one thing. I was like, why? Why did we need to do that? Second, there was a comic element in the book that didn't feel like it, for me at least.
Nothing comic. Yeah, there wasn't
anything comic about
this. No, it was very dangerous. And the Bison wandering in, is a dangerous thing. They're not that vicious of creatures, but they're big and they can charge. And so,
but both Claire and Bree kill it with an axe and a saw with their bare hands, in the books. And in this, it was just kind of done. But there was the whole, how the hell are we going to butcher this thing? It was in the midst of all this, and the boys couldn't get one. And hey, we got one. And it came out wandering in our yard. It was just.
We win.
Yeah.
We're the frontier women. We win. But at least it was Claire and Bree.
It's true.
It was the two of them.
True.
Yeah. Instead of, Jayme or Roger or the rest of them going after and bringing it back or coming out and rescuing them. At least they kept that element of it.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling in the writer's room, they were like, what are we going to do? Can we have Roger kill him so that it proves that he's actually a man? And I'm like, oh, dear God, please.
Yeah.
Because they've tried that with Roger a lot. They've given him things that belonged to Bree and to Claire. And it's like, just please stop feeling sorry for Roger. He's a man no matter what.
Yeah.
Simply because he believes he's a man.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But I guess my question is, if they put it in to throw book readers a bone, then why change it in the ways that they did, other than, well, I guess it makes it easier to film.
Makes it much easier. Makes it much easier to shoot. Rather than seeing them,
getting headbutted and thrown up over its back. That's not, first, it wasn't in the book, so you complicated it. Second, anyway, yeah.
It shows Bree's bravery.
Yeah,
it also shows her. It also shows the fact that this is a dangerous animal, and she was doing something dangerous, and
true.
And it also provides them meat for the rest of the winter. So it was. I think that they needed to have something. The men come back and they're skunked. They've got nothing. Yeah. They're going to have to go back out to get some food. But this opportunity to have, I think that they just kept the bison in for logistics, as well as throwing us a bone.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I'm unconvinced. Whatever. It's fine. Anything else about this episode?
No, I think that's I think we got to see Bree at her. I would have loved to have seen her create the thing, but I don't think that there was enough time.
Oh yeah, the snake fang venom syringe.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen her create that.
Yeah.
But
that would have been lovely.
I mean, that's just my own little personal thing because I love engineering and all things like that. I would have loved to have seen her. How she made that work.
Yeah.
And
are fangs really that long?
Well, so if you take them out, yeah. I mean,
because they're kind of up at the top of their head.
Yeah. Okay. So they go all the way in the back, where the pit is, the pit viper, and so they come all the way out. And so it's a different type of snake than say another, but their fangs are really, really long.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Yeah. I don't think I have anything else.
Yeah. Really. If you guys have something, message us.
We would love to hear what you have to say.
Write something down in the comments, what you guys thought about it, and we always recommend you read the book because the books are great.
Yeah.
And listen to our podcast. We've got several on call, and we'd love for you to listen to those and then let us know what you think as well.
And you can always support us on Patreon as well. So Patreon, patreon.com/Outlander Soul. So links in the details at the bottom. So, right. See everybody next week. Take care. Be safe. Bye. Oh, I'm still recording.